So, you might recognize this skip as being one from a Led Zeppelin song from Led Zeppelin 1. And this is my extremely mulched copy of Zepp 1. I think it's an early Canadian pressing based on the red center label. Anyways, it's completely mulched, and it's the only copy I have of the record. It has a skip, as you can see. But I have this trick I am going to try, which has worked quite frequently, as I discovered this past year, using a Califone record player. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with a Califone record player, those were those mobile, clunky record players that you would often find in classrooms in the 1970s and maybe the 80s, perhaps even the 60s, and they used them primarily as listening exercises for kids. I will show you my Califone in a moment. Oh, look, it just played through the skip. That's very, very interesting. Anyways, we're going to try this skip on the Califone because, as I said, I discovered recently that a Califone can permanently remove a skip. Now, I'm thinking that the skips originate with debris that don't get out with cleaning. But I've had some wonderful success in the last year or so with fixing skips using my Califone player. Now, one of the most recent records I fixed was this awesome copy of Milestones by Miles Davis, the first Canadian pressing, Columbia 6i. I found this in the wild. When I found it, it looked like it was in beautiful condition, but when I brought it home, it skipped only on the first track, early on the first track. So when I got the Califone about 2 years ago, I didn't want to play my cherished records on it. And then I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll play my really awesome records with skips. So I played this Miles Davis record, and the Califone played right through the skip on that first track on side A. And then I said, well, I'm going to test it out on my regular player right here. And when I did, the skip was gone. So it was permanently removed. And I think it was because there was debris caught in the groove, some kind of debris, some kind of gunk caught in the groove that the heavy needle of the Califone, which I will show you in a bit, was able to remove. So what I'm going to do is, you heard the skip earlier, I'm going to bring this record to the Califone. We'll drop it on track 3. That's where the skip was, track 3 on side 1 of Zepp 1. I'm going to bring it to the Califone, going to drop the needle on it, play it through, see if it plays without even noticing the skip. Now, this is a noisy record, as you can see. It's got a lot of noise. It's a mulched, very, very mulched copy of this record. So in a moment, I will bring you to the Califone, and I'll show you the Califone, and I'll drop the needle on track 3. So here we are at the Califone. The Zepp 1 is now on the platter. And as you can see, this is what the Califone looks like. It's a boxy player, known for its mobility. You can bring it to the beach, which is why I bought it, so that I could bring it to the beach and on my travels to the beach. And so there you have it. And if you look at the needle, it's a thick needle, wider than a normal player. You can play all kinds of different speed records on it, including 78s. And I did that in the last year for the first time I played some 78s, and they sounded wonderful. Normally Califones have a lid. Mine does have a lid, but it's just tucked away right now in the chaos of the post-Christmas days. So I'm thinking the weight. What happens is the weight. It's heavier than a normal record player. Is the weight of the needle, the weight of the arm. Clears debris. Certainly those skips that have debris and debris that didn't come out with conventional cleaning of a record. So I think it excavates it, really. I think is what happens. It just excavates the groove and gets the gunk out because of the weight that it carries. So we're going to drop. So as I was saying, the weight of the needle is such that I think it clears a lot of debris in the grooves of a record. So it excavates skips, the debris that causes skips in some certain types of skips. So the Califone is on, ready to go, and I'm going to drop the needle on track 3. Here we go. So I'm not going to, as you can see, it's a very, very noisy record. It's pretty mulched. But we'll play it through. I think we know roughly when the skip will happen. Or is supposed to happen.
You know you shot me.
So this is why I will not play my cherished flawless records on my Califone, certainly because of the size of the needle and the weight of the arm. I wouldn't play my cherished records on it. Newer records pressed in the last 25 to 30 years, I'm going to say, do not play very well on the Califone. They tend to slide, so I will not play. I very rarely play records from the 80s that were pressed in the 80s. Certainly not records pressed in the last 10 years. I mean, that pop we hear right now could be the skip that we were hearing on my other player. Anyways, we'll come back to it in a bit. I will let you know if it plays through or not. And we're about halfway through the track of You Shook Me, track 3 on side 1 of Zep 1. No skip yet. Noisy, of course, because it is a mulched record. So I think what happens is, with my previous experience of the Califone permanently getting rid of skips, I think it's the combination of the weight of the arm and the thickness of the needle, and it just sort of plows through the grooves to get rid of a lot of the debris that causes those types of skips, the debris-based skips. So I think this is going to play all the way through, at least on the Califone. So what we'll do after it plays through, we'll bring it back to my other player to see if it cleared it permanently. And we're approaching the end of the song, and I think, yeah, it played through with a lot of snap, crackles, and pops. And I think we actually heard the pop where the skip normally is. So it might actually not be a debris-based skip, but we'll see when we pop it on the other player to see if it fixed her up, if it excavated enough out of that skippy area to make it playable on another player. And we'll get to the end of Plants Wailing. And there we have it. We'll see you on the other side. So we're back at the other player. Track 3, You Shook Me, is about to start. Well, it started. And, there's no point in me standing here and videoing it. I'll just come back. If we start skipping, I'll just come back with the camera and show you if it's skipping or not. And here we have it. We're at the end of track 3, You Shook Me, on Led Zeppelin 1. And it played all the way through. I was able to do a couple of chores around the house as I was waiting for it to play through. We're now at the end. And it's... All right there, Robert. Get your wailing over with. You too, Jimmy. I mean, it plays through, but I still need a replacement copy of this damn thing. And like my cherished Miles Davis milestones, I just got rid of a skip using my Califone. I'm thinking I'm at about an 80% success rate on excavating skips out of records.